Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited, highly anticipated, he's back, and I'm telling you, baby, it's so good. It's the guy in orange, Andy Chapman, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. I got everybody. I warned everybody you were coming on, and everybody says I can't wait. All the ears are perked, man. The
Yeah,
great.
we'll see about that. I know all the secrets.
Well, I tell you, Eddie, I speak for myself only, right? But the way I know, you were such a classy gentleman on that carpet, you know, with the indoor arenas. It just, it was hard not to like you. It was hard to boo you or anything like that. Did you do that on purpose, or you just have that way?
Well, I think the indoor game came around. I originally come to the States, obviously back in 1978, to play outdoor soccer because there wasn't any indoor soccer.
Uh,
And I fell in love with America. And that first season, I just, I just saw how great it was here, and I was maturing as a player. I was technically getting cleaner and cleaner with my game. And at the end of the 79 outdoor season, there were rumors that an indoor league was about to start, or it started, 78, and they had 4 or 5 teams in it. And I wanted to stay in the States. And obviously, as a career, I wanted to earn money. So originally, I thought, oh, this is fantastic. I got an offer from Wichita to come and try out on Christmas Day, 1979, and I just was really looking at it, Kevin, as a way to continue getting a salary. And little did I know back then it would morph into something a lot bigger because I fell in love with the game. I went from Los Angeles to Wichita that I'd never really heard of, only in the song, which I don't even think related to Wichita, Kansas. I'm not sure. Could have been Wichita, Texas. But the singer Glenn, I
yeah,
can't think of his name.
Campbell.
Wichita, yeah, Glenn Campbell. And I actually bumped into Tanya. I can't think of her name. The young girl he married in Los Angeles one time. But anyway, that's another story. But so the Wichita lineman, I found myself arriving in Wichita on Christmas Day '79, and little did I know then that was going to change my life.
Yeah. Did he marry Linda Ronstadt or something?
No, Tanya, she was a country
Yeah,
western.
Tanya Tucker.
Tanya Tucker, that's it.
All
Yeah,
right
yeah,
then. All right.
yeah, yeah. I remember Tanya.
Yeah. Well,
So
let me bring you back to London town. Did they have indoor arenas there where you played?
no, no. But what they did do, which was quite interesting, as a kid, the way they identified talent back in my day was through the school system. It wasn't Premier League, it was Division 1 through Division 4, and Division 4 being League 2 today. Um, so they had, as kids, five-a-side, which was a smaller game, but not played inside an arena. But as we got into the 70s, mid 70s, one of the daily national newspapers would sponsor an indoor tournament called the Daily Express Five-a-Side Championships. And they would do it as a one-off. And it was quite popular. So I was familiar with the small-sided games, but nothing to the extent of what Earl Foreman had decided could be something that the American public would enjoy watching, because there was a lot of negative for all many different reasons. That the outdoor game was too slow, too low scoring, not enough action, and all that BS at the time. And so he geared it to, to the television, 4 quarters in an arena, lots of action, lots of scoring, and it took up.
Yeah. How about you remember the old golds that were like 4 or 5 foot high with
Oh yeah. I mean, it's funny because once they made them bigger, they looked huge,
yeah,
from the smaller goals.
yeah,
But I've often said, and and it's on record, that I basically in 78, 79, and 80 playing outdoor soccer, I had a good goal scoring record of one every two games. So I got 12 in 24, which was considered a good rate of return outdoors.
yeah,
Now, after I'd played indoor for a couple of seasons, 79, 80, 80, 81, and you're training, practicing, playing games, and looking to score on a lot smaller games, your thinking's got to be quicker. Your control has to be cleaner. Your thought process has to be quicker. And got to the 81 season for the Express, and I ended up scoring 24 in 24 games, which was unheard of at the time, a goal a game. And I put it down to me visually seeing the outdoor goals. I remember it vividly, going into the Silverdome one time for practice and looking at the size of the goal after spending 6 or 7 months playing indoor and thinking, fuck, how can you miss? It's, it's so big. And and because my goal scoring in the indoor had to be so acute and accurate and quick, it felt like it was easy scoring outdoors. So it improved my game. And then when they actually went to the bigger indoor goals, again, it just sat well with my eye. So
yeah,
I enjoyed it. But more importantly, not just the fact that you're trying to improve yourself as a craftsman and maximize your skill and your ability and be the best that you possibly can at a game that you love. The excitement of playing in packed arenas, was very inspiring. And obviously developing genuine rivalships with, St. Louis and Wichita, which I weren't too familiar with at the first time I've been in the Midwest.
yeah.
But I soon realised, what was going on, and it was great for the game. I'm going into St. Louis and having 16, 17, 18,000 people at the Checker Dome. That's fucking, that's motivation.
Nice. Hey, under full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, Andy's got time all the time, something to do, and he's on a treadmill right now doing yes. And you're the first one, Andy. Congratulations, baby. Congratulations.
Well,
You make the Wales Certified Hall of Fame, Andy Chapman.
Yeah, well, I got the most beautiful view. I'm upstairs and I've got an apartment in a a building that's on my property, and it overlooks the little Traverse Bay here in Petoskey, northern Michigan. And the view I've got now, I'm blessed. And I do my treadmill a couple of times a day. I've stayed in shape. I'm actually less weight than what I played at.
Wow.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I do my best
Yeah. Yeah.
to stay in shape.
I gotta ask you because you're the only guy I've ever talked to that says all this. Is talking about your play to be clean and then to be cleaner, and
Yes.
about your soccer IQ to play quicker, and
Yeah.
it's an amazing. Can you open up the secret sauce for us on that?
Well, I'll tell you what, Kevin. Obviously, you have to have each player has their talent as to what they're good at. I mean, when you're playing outdoor, there is certain positions that an individual player has to have for that position. And maybe a centre half back then he obviously had to be taller, and he had to win a lot of balls in the air because that's the way they played. And he might not have such cleaner skills on the ground. A winger had to be fast, and he had to be able to get a good crossing. And another member of the team might not be able to do that. So each position, requires a different skill set. But with my position and how I'd always played as a kid, my touch was always very good, but related to my age. So at 13 and 14, I was probably on the higher arc of other 13 and 14-year-olds. But there's a huge, huge fucking difference when you go from school and you go into the professional ranks. And so you're around players that have equal amount of skill set that you do. But then it comes down to, I think the main important one is having what they used to term vision. And what that is, before you actually receive the ball, you've weighed up the two or three options that you might have if you're lucky, if you have two or three options.
Yeah.
You're blessed if you've got two. Sometimes you have one, and sometimes you have no options because it's played in, it's tight, and you've got to have the skill set to be able to perform all three of those options.
Nice.
So I always, worked harder at the skill set you needed when you had no options, when you had no space,
Wow.
when you're getting double teamed. So if I could be proficient and consistent, you're not going to be 100% because you're playing against somebody who's trying to nullify what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can be 75, 80%, and more importantly, people seem to forget about this aspect of the game, is that your fitness of both teams in the first 10 minutes is a lot different than the fitness in the last 10 or 15 minutes. So it was important for me to build stamina and strength and lasting strength so that in the last 10 or 15 minutes, I would have the edge over any defender that was marking me, that had to maximize all their energy during the 45, 50 minutes or the 75 and 80 minutes of a game.
Man.
And that's why I think I, excelled in overtime because I was fit.
Yeah.
And that wasn't luck. obviously you're blessed with your DNA from your parents, um, your body type. My parents were very slight. My mum's still alive. She's 93,
Yeah.
and she's never driven a car, and she walks. And not now she doesn't walk, but she used to walk. And so I had a fitness base, and I really worked at improving it. And so that's why I think that I remain strong into overtime. And again, Kevin, nothing in life is luck. You make your own luck. I mean, you can obviously, I'm not going to say luck, but you make your own luck. So I remember I would always stay behind training, do extra, do my sit up, do my shooting drills in the afternoon. And Mike Powers and Steve Westbrook would attest to this because we actually lived together in 82, I think it was. And in the afternoon, I used to go on cross-country runs. So I'd do the practice in the morning, which was anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. And then I'd do another hour of fitness in the afternoon. And I was doing that as my body was maturing through, from 19 through 23. And I pretty maxed out then my physical, how physical and how big I was going to be,
Yeah.
But I mean, the key is, I used to say it all the time, there's always going to be someone faster than you. You're going to be faster than someone else. There's always someone going to be a little bit stronger than you, but you're going to be stronger than most. And you just got to maximize your game, your ability, just like in life, Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm a simple lad that just come to America, grew up in the East End of London in government property, saw what was going on in the States. And I said, I want a piece of this, because I knew that in America, if you at that time, times have changed, that if you worked your ass off, you could potentially, make a nice life for yourself.
Wow. Well, there you go. You're actual Pygmalion. You, George Bernard.
Yeah.
Yeah. My fair Andy. Nice.
I like that. My fair. Well, it is that. I mean, it
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
And we all have wherever you grow up, the motivation to push forward. I'm not saying somebody that grew up with not so hard stuff going. Their motivation comes from somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
It's all individual.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was more. Obviously the football, I was absorbed for 20 years. But the great thing that I recall was the people and my teammates. They become family. Because early on, I didn't have any family here, so
No.
So the likes of me and Mike and Steve lived together in Wichita. They were like my family. They're like my brothers.
Yes, they are. They
So,
feel the same way about you, Andy.
yeah. And again, just culturally, I've said this before, no one thinks about it. The Premier League today is nothing like it was 45 years ago when I left that environment. A foreign player was somebody that was in the team that might have Scottish parents, or were from Ireland, and a coach dealt with a squad of players back then that were culturally all very similar.
Right.
They all liked a pint of beer. They all liked their fish and chips. everybody smoked for the most part,
Yeah.
75%, 50%. And so a coach come in and he could actually, whether he was an authoritarian or he was your best buddy to max, whatever it took to get the best out of you, you could really blanket their whole squad that they come from similar backgrounds, working class. Well, spin forward today in the Premier League, fuck, you got multinationals on each team. You know, you got it's Africans, French, Scandinavians, South Americans, Americans,
Yeah.
who culturally grew up completely different.
Yep.
And so the managers of today, it would have been unheard of in my day if they brought in a German or an Italian, South American or whatever coach
Yeah.
into a Division One team.
Right.
It's just what it was.
Yeah.
And so, in a way, I've told Roy Turner this. And me and Roy Turner had our ups and downs. And early on, obviously, when I weren't as wise, I didn't have the knowledge to probably appreciate some of his decisions. But as I've matured and gone forward, and still retain a relationship with Roy, see him every once in a blue moon. And we've had this discussion that they were the first to have to deal with a squad of players that were from South America,
Wow.
Denmark,
Wow.
Germany,
Yeah. Yeah.
British.
That's
So
right.
a collective squad
Yeah.
of 7 or 8 different nationalities.
Yeah.
Roy Turner, Pat McBride were dealing with that. Americans.
Yeah.
So integrating the culture. And so they were ahead of their time because that was unheard of in South America and England.
Anywhere. Yeah.
That weren't fucking happening, Kevin.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't happening. So
And just to give you
take
a
my
little.
hat off to them.
Go.
Well, I take my hat off to them, really, because, you got to manage a squad. We had I don't want to call them cliques, but we certainly had what we were told the English mafia
Yeah.
in Wichita, where you had Kevin Cooley, Norman Piper, Andy Chapman, and all the rest of the English boys, Roy Turner, Norman Piper. They were all English.
And that's a mafioso there right there, Norman Piper.
But then again, you had the Danish mafia.
Oh.
Jürgen Christensen.
Yeah.
Finn Rumpfeld.
Oh, man, yeah.
Frank Rasmussen.
Oh.
Yeah, so you had all those cliques. You had the cliques of the Americans.
Yeah, there you go.
And there weren't that many American superstars at the time, except Ricky Davis, who went to St. Louis. But you had fantastic American players that were starting in respective cities. And you had some Americans at that time that were in the squad but weren't getting a lot of playing time, deserved or not. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
In St. Louis, I mean, and looking back at the quality of soccer, and I can say this with hand on heart, all the players that were playing in that era of the Major Indoor Soccer League in the 80s could have played in the Division One back in England, could have played in Spain. Steve Petcher could have had a role and would have had a role playing for, West Ham or fucking Millwall or whatever. They could do it. But the one thing, you got to remember, the money was here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, and to put it into perspective, how it's changed, just so people can sort of fucking process it, Kevin, that Brian Robson in 1982 or 83 was the captain of Manchester United and England. And he signed the richest contract in British football. And he was making £1,250 a week, £60,000 for the whole year. And I was making more than him.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that's, I got lots of phone calls from, because I was so young when I come here, and I played with a lot of British players that were in their late 20s or early 30s. They were going back to England and they were getting coaching roles at the lower divisions. And I would get lots of phone calls. I remember getting a phone call from John Gorman, who ended up being an assistant for England. And he called me to come and play for him. Fuck, I couldn't afford it, Kevin.
Yeah,
No
right,
chance.
right, yeah.
So
The F word for football is okay, Andy, but we can't use the FU.
yeah, sorry,
Okay.
sorry. I apologize. Sorry. I keep thinking I'm in the locker room.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Give you, yeah, right, sure.
Boys will be boys in the
Oh,
locker room.
Eastender. Yeah, Eastender.
Hey, I apologise to all that are listening, and hopefully I haven't offended anyone.
No.
So I'll say there's a slang word in England we use called flipping.
Oh.
So if I flipping heck.
Oh, yeah,
so if you hear me say flipping,
okay.
all right.
But for full disclosure, I want to tell everybody, you've actually played professional soccer for 4 decades. And there's only
Correct.
you and that goalkeeper. Yeah. Victor, which starts with an N. I don't want to.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's amazing, Andy. And you said it started early with you knowing that that's what you got to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, well, it is. I left school at 16 and went straight from graduating high school at 1976 into to Arsenal. And I played my last professional game, I believe it was like February of March of 2000.
Wow.
So, the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, I mean, it just went so quick. But anyway, I guess the longevity is good.
Yeah. How about the Arsenal when you with the Gunners? Did you like the unis? Did you play with George or what?
Did I play with who?
Tommy George, was that his name?
Charlie George. No, Charlie George had left and gone to Derby.
Okay.
Derby County. But I played with George Armstrong, John Radford, all famous players. Bob Wilson with the goalkeeper.
Nice.
They were part of the squad that won the double in 72.
Oh, man.
And then when that first year, in 77, they signed it was the largest transfer fee ever in European football, I believe, but certainly in British football. They signed Malcolm MacDonald from Newcastle United for £333,000. So it was $350,000.
You got it.
So, yes. So Malcolm MacDonald, so Liam Brady was there. Yeah, Graham Ricks. And again, back then, Kevin, it weren't how it's run today. I mean, Chelsea seemed to have a squad of about 40 players.
Yeah.
We had a squad of professionals, and you got to remember this. I was playing back in the day when only 12 pros dressed for the game.
Wow.
So there was 11 players and one sub on the bench.
Wow.
And so they, no one really had a squad of 20 professional players, and the other nine, that made up the 20 would be playing for the second team or the reserves with a couple of apprentice professionals.
Wow.
So there weren't big squads of players. And, at Arsenal, just like at any football club at that time, the first team that they have is the youngsters, the under 18, the apprentice professionals. So I joined at 16, and I'm playing in a division or league against other teams who's also filled in, 16 and 17-year-olds and the occasional 18-year-old. But now, like at Arsenal, they've got an under 9s and under 10s and under 12s and right the way through. So it's more conducive to, bringing them along in an atmosphere that allows them to grow with confidence.
Nice.
I mean, I can remember, very early on at Arsenal, they had an awful indoor facility behind the clock end, which was part of the stadium. At Highbury, there was a big clock, and it was all standing. So any fans that went in there stood. There were no seated. There was lots of standing in the stands. That's why they're called stands. But behind there, we had, and it was state of the art, supposedly. We had a little building, and it had like the surface was like a red chalk, like a mixture of fine sand, red chalk. And I can remember as a 17-year-old, we're playing in a five-a-side or short-sided games. I nutmegged Pat Jennings, who was the goalkeeper, a big fucking big flipping Irishman.
Yeah.
He was huge. And I nutmegged him because I was really cocky. And 30 seconds later, I had the ball, and he just smashed me one. He completely fucking leveled me, And I had to go into the treatment room because it was old school, you know what I'm saying? And he was probably about 28, 29, 30 at the time. I don't know, maybe older.
Yeah.
But he was a man, a fully grown man. And because I'd done that to him, he freaking hammered me.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was allowed. That don't go on today.
Yeah, right.
It don't go on. Don't go on.
Yeah.
16-year-olds are playing with 16-year-olds. If they're really good, the 16-year-olds might be playing with the under-19s.
Yeah.
The 17, It's a very rare occasion when you get a player like Jude Bellingham, who actually starts at Birmingham City, and he gets in the team at 16, and then goes on and goes to Dortmund, and he's playing for them at 17 and 18. I mean, that really weren't going on.
Right.
There was no players going to play in Germany. They weren't happening,
Right. Yeah. And
I mean, just because of culture, Kevin, you forget.
yes.
England went through the Second World War against Germany. My great grandmother got bombed in the Blitz. And so I grew up with, a mother and a father that went through the Second World War, who had family killed in the Blitz. And there was all war movies that would be, cinema took off, and they were making movies in the 50s and 60s. But every movie was about the Second World War.
Right.
So there's no way. And then we played against Germany in the 66 World Cup.
Right.
There was no love between the Germans and the English.
No.
And so, therefore, I mean, it's just a matter of fact. It's just like what it was, is that, a German player wouldn't be coming to play in England. English player wouldn't be coming to play in Germany.
Right.
Fortunately, that's all changed, and we now are able to play anywhere that we so want to, you know?
Well said. Well said. Hey, I got it. You're the guy that I'm so grateful. And I'm putting you in the Whale Certified Hall of Affinity for saying for saying that, hey man, you gotta build the players, not teams. If
Yeah, yeah,
if you build the player, the teams will
yeah,
build themselves.
yeah, yeah,
That's scholarly, bruh. That's
yeah.
scholarly.
Well, it makes sense with anything, Kevin. You know, it's like when you got raising children and they do some of their after school activities, whatever that might be. And I always relate it to, you know, if I had well, I did have a son playing in the band, and you put the band. I think it's the music teacher's obligation for everyone to have a little bit of an understanding of all the musical instruments. Now, obviously, they're just like in football. They gravitate towards a certain position that they like to play, and you want to maximize what they have that might fit into that position. But like in a band, at least let them all know what the chords are with the piano and what it is with the guitar and what it is with the drum and what it is with the trumpet or the clarinet or the bass guitar, you know, to have an understanding. It's like I wouldn't want my son to do 3 years of music and all he knew how to do was tap one of those freaking, you know what I'm saying, with those
Yeah.
triangles. Ding, ding, and that's what he did. It's like it just makes sense to me, you know.
Yeah.
So when you have young kids, and that was the philosophy. I was very fortunate. I started a travel soccer club with Ian Fairbrother, who had played for me. I got him from. He initially was in Wichita for a year. He's a lot younger than me, and I got him to come and play for the Rockers in 1991-92 season. And anyway, in 97, we started our own travel club. And we were the first, when I started it, because I'd done a lot of coaching, Kevin. You know, I enjoyed the kids and it was extra income, like all the players do it. And I'd never affiliated myself with any one organization because I was always doing appearances and coaching and doing clinics to try to get the families and the kids to come and watch a professional game. You know, because I was always tied to a team.
Right.
Didn't matter what club you were at, you're always doing appearances and trying to get out there in the community to basically get seats and bums in the crowd, you know? So, you know, I'd never done that. But in 97, after surveying what was going on out there, I thought, this ain't right. I'm going to start my own club. And so the guy that helped me do it, this Larry Lyman, he said, okay, we get a 501c3. So I'm like, what the flipping heck is that? You know? And he goes, well, it's a charity. I said, what do you mean? And then he said, we get a board of parents and people, and we put them in, you know, treasurer and president. And I said, well, what's that all about then? I said, I've heard of that. I've seen it going on and all the politics of where one of the board members' kids not playing and the coach is getting fired. Right? So I said, no. We're going to do an LLC. He said, that's never been done. I said, well, I don't care. He said, well, the perception might not look good in the community. I said, I don't care. I said, I want to have ownership of it. And I don't want I don't want anyone telling me what to do and how it should be done. So we formed an LLC. We were the first LLC as a sports entity, a kids' sports entity in Michigan, and one of the first in the country. And the only reason I did it is because I wanted me and Ian to be the board. We could hire the coaches that we want. We could do any of the philosophy that we had regarding how our club was run. And I remember at the time, sat around my kitchen table, the guy said, yeah, okay. And one day you might be able to sell it. That's the added bonus. And I'm like, I have no interest. 97, I had no interest in what it was going to be. I couldn't even see beyond the next season.
Yeah, right.
And suddenly, 30 years later, me and Ian just sold the club 2 months ago.
Wow.
So, and we got a really, really, really nice payout on the club, because we went from 4 teams the first year to, when we sold the club, we had 55 travel teams playing nationally all around the country. But at the time when I started it, it was like my ego had been served playing professionally. All I cared about was coaching the kids. And I remember the tryouts the following year we'd started the club, and parents were whispering in my ear that we possibly needed to replace a certain player because they weren't so strong. And when we have the tryouts, we can cut them and bring in somebody else. And I just said, no, that ain't happening. I said, we're a family club. Now, if that kid shows no interest and is not working hard and has only come to practice 50% of the time, I'll talk to the parents at the tryouts and tell them for them to get a spot, they have to increase their attendance and increase their effort. But if I had a kid that was on a roster of 18, that was probably the 16th, 17th, 18th rated player on that squad, but had come to practice and trying, but because physically they were a little bit behind, there's no way they were getting cut. And so the message is, if you work hard and you're striving to become better, you'll always have a spot in my squad. As a child, obviously, when you get into the professional ranks, it's obviously a little bit different.
Right.
But statistics always told, and I would let the parents know that, like, you might not agree with everything I do, but at least it's like you can have a coach. It's like having a piano teacher. The piano teacher likes to listen to music and piano playing, but is very limited at playing the piano themselves. So why would you want your kids to be taught by someone? Okay, I say they enjoy music, but they're not a real pianist. But it's the same with soccer. Why have a coach who at that time just happens to know about football teams in Europe and likes football and likes watching football, but never ever freaking played at any level? So the parents understood it. And obviously back in the 90s, a lot of the parents, enjoyed a bit of the old school mentality, where you work hard and you ride them a little bit and you try to maximize their effort and their ability. And today it's changed a lot. Culturally, it's changed a lot,
Uh-huh.
But kids remain the same in the sense that don't matter what era you grow up in, confidence, legitimate confidence, confidence that is earned goes a long way.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, we're hugging you. We're hugging
yeah,
you. We used to boo you, but now we're hugging you, man. Wait, well said, Andy. Well
yeah,
said.
yeah, yeah. But it weren't everyone that was hugging me in the checker dome. I remember a couple of guys that used to lean over that glass, popping a blood vessel in their temple, and their neck veins shooting out and throbbing, shouting out. I won't tell you what they were shouting because we've
Oh
got a
no.
family show here,
Yeah.
but it weren't a very nice St. Louis welcome, you know.
Oh.
Certainly
Oh.
not Midwestern values.
Oh, mamma mia, baby. Yeah, well said. Well said. So I just have to go back and just say, do you feel the same way? Your uniforms with the Gunners and Arsenal and
Yeah,
the orange and the blue, they were the best uniforms around. I mean, they were really super. Did you like them?
yeah, of course. I mean, that's the thing as a player. Certainly, it's all changed because it was like any sport nowadays. Back in the day, you had your traditional colours and traditional design. Didn't matter whether you were in the NFL or the baseball, but certainly in the soccer, the football, the players were always excited at the start of any season to get a new shirt.
Yeah.
Now you go understand back in the 60s and 70s, even the early 80s, until a bit of advertising come in, there weren't really much change in the football kit, as we
Right.
used to refer it to.
Yeah.
But in today's world, it's obviously very lucrative. Every team changes their uniform every frigging year so that they're purchased. I mean, it's business. It's
Absolutely.
business.
Yes. Yes.
And unfortunately, for some of the teams, the business becomes more important than the product on the field. Because
Mm-mm.
if they're turning over a profit
Yeah.
um, in all aspects of advertising and actually attendance, TV rights, whatever it might be, there's a certain comfort zone to that. And therefore, you know, there's some football clubs, especially in Europe, that have lost their way because the bottom dollar has become actually more important than what is being done on the field. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I mean, I even think in Europe, to be quite honest, because I see what's going on here, and I've said it, maybe not in the Premier League, but certainly in the Championship, definitely in League One and League Two, you'll see you'll see happen over there what happens here,
Oh.
where instead of actually sponsoring an individual franchise in the NHL, and you have whether it's Nike, Adidas, Puma, Reebok, whatever, the actual company takes over the whole league.
Yeah.
So every franchise within the NHL,
Yeah.
every franchise in the NFL,
Right.
every franchise in the baseball,
Yeah.
they have the same company, but obviously with different colors.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's going to happen in League One and League Two, particularly where you have a system of relegation and promotion. And sometimes you look in League Two and you might see a team like Sheffield Wednesday, and they were a powerhouse in the 60s and 70s,
Yeah.
and now they're in League One. You can't
Oh.
believe it. You know what
What?
I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right. Yeah.
And anyone that's watching football for the first time ever just thinks, oh, that franchise, they're crap. But they've had a tradition of. So they might actually cut themselves a better deal than, say, somebody that's come up from League Two and got promotion, and they're just a small little club called Yeovil. You know that. So I think everyone will. It will happen over there where you see Nike or Adidas. That everyone within League One and League Two will wear an Adidas or Nike kit uniform, and everyone, all the profits and everything will be distributed accordingly. You know.
Well, there you go. You
Yeah,
you
yeah,
heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Andy
yeah.
Chapman, yeah.
I'm getting sidetracked here with you, Kevin.
Oh
Talking about,
no,
yeah, yeah,
you're great. This is super. I mean, I'm having a blast.
good, good.
And so I'm taking it off like you. Hey, I'm the one that's doing this podcast. I'm going to have my fun first.
Mm.
So, but we do some customary stuff around here at Wales Certified.
Okay.
Yeah, to be able to say, I forget. Did you play with Perry Vandenbeck by any chance?
Yeah, Perry. I
Oh,
played
okay.
with Perry Vanderbilt. Yeah, in Wichita. I love Perry. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
gentleman,
Oh,
gentleman.
absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
tried.
yeah.
I'm a little.
I love, I love. To be quite honest, I have respect for every. It seems every person that come out of St. Louis because they have a definite history that started way before anyone, other cities. I know in Los Angeles they had some,
Right.
back in the 60s and 50s
Yeah.
because of the foreigners that were in New York with the immigrants,
Right.
pockets of. But St. Louis, that Ty Keogh's dad, I think it was Harry
Yes.
Keogh,
Yes, it was.
that they had that famous win against England, 1-0.
Yeah.
And, and it was a hotbed. And the fact that, I see photographs of Mike Powers, Steve Westbrook, who are only, I think, a year or two older than me,
Right. Okay.
that, their photographs of them in the 60s, late 60s, when they're 8 or 9, wearing the football gear
Yeah.
and being on squads, and Ray Schnecknecke,
Yeah.
Paul Turin,
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
them. I know Tony Glavin was a big player there. He was from Scotland.
Right.
But you had so many great St. Louis players. I mean, put away the rivalry and all that sort of stuff. But like I said, Steve Petcher, I'd mentioned him about playing back home. Don Ebert, you know what I'm
Oh
saying?
man.
He was a bit of a villain, suppose that. With his desire and the way he played, in this era today, he could do a job for someone with what he brought to the table.
Oh yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, there's so many of them, and I'm forgetting the names of some of them.
Right. I'll
Um,
house clean for you.
yeah,
Anyway.
yeah, but Perry Vanderbeek fits in with that. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
Keith Gurlin, who you'd mentioned, just quality people. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So Perry, I think he's a great lad. You know.
Right. Absolutely. And that's. I'll get back to you. We have like a national trend to the high school champions league, where
Yeah, yeah, okay,
yeah, it's really some good stuff that
yeah,
you would find interesting. But what happens here is that we're coming up against the hour, and there's a custom here, Andy, and I think you fit right in, is to say, hey man, whatever you want to say to who you ever want to say it to, for as long as you want to say it for, Andy, this is your opportunity.
yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and I think I've started saying it, just prior to that, and that is just reaching out to all those players that I mentioned. And in those times, even though we fought fearlessly on the, on the carpet or on the pitch or on the field, I don't really think that we all realised the quality of the football, the soccer that was going on. And at the time when you're immersed in it and you're competing and rivalries are established and, it's all good for the game. But I can honestly look back and, like I just said, I respect all of them, every player. And that's why I said about Don Ebert.
Yeah.
When you're playing against him, I know some of the lads didn't like him, but looking back, I'm Thatcher and Sam Vick.
Yeah.
I love Sam. Yeah, I love Sam Vick.
Yeah.
And I was cocky back then. I remember I used to refer to him as Barney Rubble off the Flintstones. So it was, it's just what it was. And Steve Petcher was Fred Flintstone. I remember being in the dressing room saying, "Oh, I'm going up against Fred and Barney tonight." But like I said, I just, I only have fond memories of them. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
have, I have fond memories, of being there at the Arch. I have fond memories of after the games, going out, being young,
Yeah.
and being in the city of St. Louis. I remember we used to stay at a hotel downtown, and I loved the area. Even though we lost in that semi-final, I think it was 82. Um, and I can vividly, I can still remember it. I can picture it, see it, and being in the checkered dome, and we kicked off, and everybody knows what happens. I remember looking up at the clock, and it was like close to midnight, and we were playing extra time or overtime and going to penalties. And I can remember actually that was, and I'm starting to get a little bit goosebumps here actually thinking about it.
Yeah.
I can remember after we lost the game, I can vividly see from the bench. I think it was Brad Phillips. No, no, not Brad Phillips.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, the goalkeeper that had to come in because Mike Dowler got injured, taken out by Don Ebert, that whole story.
Yeah.
And I remember Emilio John stepping up. He got fouled and he ended up getting a penalty. And I always remember Emilio John because when I first came to America in 78, Soccer America gave me Rookie of the Year. And Emilio John, let's say the year afterwards, I got Rookie of the Year. And I couldn't believe it because he was like 28 years of age. And I'm like, how can you get Rookie of the Year at 20 friggin' 8? You know what I'm saying? So I'd known Emilio John. And I remember he's stepping up and the goalkeeper hugging the right post, as if to show him the goalie's left side, the player's right side, as if it was. And I'm looking, going, what the flipping heck is he doing? And think, I didn't, it wasn't logical. And Emilio John wrapping it in, he didn't even see it, the goalie. I don't got nowhere near it. And I can remember how, at the end of that, how devastating it was. It was the most, I won't call it pain, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
people go through real pain.
Yeah. Right.
But it was the most, disappointed. So it felt so horrible. And I remember walking back and I couldn't go in the dressing room and I was exhausted and I was dripping wet and it was after midnight and the crowd were going crazy and I could hear them. I could see the players in the tunnel and I was trying to figure out how we lost the game
Yeah.
and how did that just happen? And I can remember for the first time in my life, I cried my eyes out right behind the Zamboni
Oh,
machine.
wow.
And I hid myself behind the Zamboni,
Yeah.
and I couldn't stop crying for about 3 minutes. And it must have been all the emotions. I'd never cried in my life,
Wow.
you know, over anything. Um, so, well, I remember crying a few times when my parents slapped my legs, for doing something wrong. I remember that, but I was probably 4 then and 5. But
Yeah.
um, I was just emotionally drained, and it took everything, to get together, go in the locker room. The locker room was like a morgue. We had TV cameras in there, and it was awful. And the only blessing for me was, the next day we're back in Wichita, and we had a big night out there that night. Actually, me and Don Tobin went over across the bridge into. I'm vaguely remembering there's another state there. We went into. There's a bridge where on one side it's Kansas and Missouri or
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
is, but
Exactly.
we ended up going to some nightclub, and we didn't roll back in until about 6 a.m. And the players were still up outside the hotel drinking, the Danish players. And we went back to Wichita. And it's always sad when the season ends because you're up and leaving your family that you've spent the last 7 months with.
Yeah.
But I was always fortunate because Kevin Cooley and George Lay, Roy Turner, Norman Piper, all those guys, they'd stopped playing outdoor soccer, and they were just going to be in Wichita in the summer doing
Nice.
camps. But I jumped on a plane because I was going back to Detroit. And I was going back there, and me and Mike Powers and Steve Westbrook and Ray
Right.
Schnecknecke and Paul
Yeah.
Turing.
Yeah.
We're going back to Detroit. Now we've got a new journey to start.
Yes.
So it was able to forget that whole feeling. And then we ended up um, winning the ASL Championship in '82.
Yes, you did.
And it was so fulfilling. So, you initially asked me, this was a time that you could say anything you want.
Yeah.
I'm just grateful for all those people that obviously every player I ever played against, and some of them, passed away, which is sad. Jeff Bone passed away, you know,
Right.
uh, Helmut Dudek passed away. So many, Chico Borja, Kaz Dana in San Diego. I mean, there's so many, the list goes on. Billy Ronson, who was in Baltimore with me. Um, just real, real sad. But I'm grateful that I got to know all people from St. Louis and the Midwest that I never envisioned, only a few years prior to that were going to be a part of my life.
Yeah.
And I still communicate every once in a while with Mike Powers, who I call Pencil, because he always had a pencil and was writing a note down. And that's all he ever did. It was, Um, and the other, the there was. I was just thinking. I can't think now. I've sort of lost my train of thought there, but there was something else I was going to say. But anyway, um, just fantastic,
Yeah.
and even that, after all these years, I still get a kick out of the fact that you reached out to me. I didn't recognize, the number. I had your name, so I'm thinking, well, if I've got their name on there, I know I'll leave it. Who knows? It could be some attorney that wants to fucking sue me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
Um, but it was you. You know, on the phone, you're saying, "Hey, could you give me a call?" I wanted, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It continues.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. It will. I mean,
and I just want to, and again, I just want to thank you for. And there's a lot of people, there's quite a few people out there that obviously was impressed or a time of their life that was around the indoor game, just like the two guys, Tim O'Brien and Mike Rumless, who wrote the book, Make This Town Big. And then from that, the movie, God Save the Wings, was produced. And I'm getting actually quite a lot of people that reaching out to me that are writing books about the game, doing historical documentaries on the major indoor soccer league. That you know, you reaching out and keeping it alive. I want to thank you for that. And I know I can speak on behalf of all the players, every one of them, that they'd all thank you personally for keeping that era and that history alive when indoor soccer kept soccer relevant in the United States of America. You know.
amen. Amen. Right on. I wouldn't have it in any other way, man. It was we
All
did,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
I also want to thank you. I just went 5 minutes over my hour on the treadmill.
Congratulations, Andy.
Cheers.
Congratulations. All right.
I've only got to do 55 minutes tonight at 8 o'clock.
All right. All right. Yeah. Well, what everything has been said that needed to be said. You were just so fantastic, and you always have a room here at Whale Certified. And if you ever come to St. Louis, it's kind of like they said. Gordie Howe, if Gordie Howe went through Canada, he would always stay at another person's home and have a
Yeah,
meal and everything. Same way with
yeah,
you, Andy. You always got a
yeah,
place here. So,
yeah. And I tell you what, one little shout out that I want to do is that we were talking about how Steve Westbrook and Mike Powers and all the boys there got involved in soccer. It was Steve Westbrook's father that
oh,
really was very instrumental. And it was an honor to see him. A few years ago, we did a reunion down in Detroit, and it was an honor to see him. And the fact that he still does coaching sessions today, and I think I want to say he's in his 80s.
every bit.
Yeah, and I just want to give a shout out to him
Oh
and
man.
just tell him that he played an integral part of soccer in the St. Louis back in the day, and we all should thank him.
Oh, absolutely. We all do.
Yeah,
There's no one finer than Dick Westbrook. I mean,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
whole clan, the whole Westbrooks,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
fantastic, man.
yeah, yeah.
God, way to go, Andy. Wait,
All right,
that's the cherry.
we'll finish on that one. You can't top
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So, Kevin, hey, you know my number. You know when I'm on the treadmill. If you ever want to have a natter about anything, give us a call, mate.
All right
Okay.
then, we'll do.
Oh, I tell you, hey, that's what I was going to say. Actually, I forgot what I was going to say. That that before there was bend it like Beckham, there was curve it like Chapman, right? And the reason I say that is because David Beckham's first coach was my uncle, Stuart Underwood.
Oh,
Yeah, Stuart.
wow.
Yeah, Stuart Underwood, my uncle, was David's first coach, and they remained close for all of my uncle's life up until he passed away. And David actually still talk would talk to my auntie Betty, but I wanted to.
Oh,
I'd thought about that relationship, and because everybody always asks, do you know David Beckham? Obviously, he come way later than me,
yeah, right.
but um, anyway, before he was doing his escapades, I was doing that, So it's
Wow.
Curb it like Chapman, not bend
Yeah,
it like
baby.
Beckham.
I'm getting a T-shirt. I'm getting a T-shirt.
Yeah, I love
Oh
it. I
man,
love it.
yes. Oh,
All right,
that is
Kevin, you
beautiful, man.
you have a good one,
I
and I'll
pro-
talk to you later.
I promise. The best.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.